here's the thing. When a pandemic hits, when $6 gas hits, when a loaf of bread goes up, when there's 73 people trying to buy one house and they run the price up, when it's weird out there, when you walk through the grocery store and there's not crap on the shelves, okay, you have a different physical reaction to those things. You have a different emotional and spiritual reaction to these things, a lot less drama to these things when you are the third pig. You remember the third pig? He's the one that had a brick house. And when the big bad wolf came, his pulse rate did not change. He looked out the window and said, "Oh, there's a wolf." When the big bad wolf came to the other houses, he huffed and he puffed, and he blew their freaking house down, and their lives were coming to an end. Right? So when you have an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses, when you are living on a budget, when you have worked your butt off and gotten yourself out of debt, and all this crap comes at you, your pulse rate doesn't change. You go, "Dadgum, that's awful. It's inconvenient. They don't have cream cheese at Publix. Dadgum." You know? It's just a thing, right?
Can I be a fourth pig?
The fourth pig.
Can I be the fourth pig?
I don't know.
That you
What is
do
the
it.
fourth pig?
The fourth pig.
Is the fourth pig, is that the stepchild? Who's the fourth
I
pig?
might be the stepchild after this segment. We'll see what happens.
You may get thrown out of the family.
I might get thrown out. The fourth pig is you do it all, right? Thank God for parents that teach you young. You do it. You're living on a budget since 21. You save up your emergency fund. You're funding your 401k. You're doing it, okay? So you got the brick house. But the dadgum wolf, but he's real. And when that pig goes to the grocery store, it's like, dang it, Publix. It is though. So
the fourth pig was a drama student.
Maybe so. The fourth pig can have the brick house, but the fourth pig also feels it when you fill up your tank and you're like, no, why is it so expensive? Or Costco, I check out and feels like it's double than what I did.
I didn't say you didn't feel it, but it doesn't have to have the level of drama that you're bringing to it.
I know, but God sucks,
I didn't say it didn't suck. And let me tell you when it sucks more. When you're not the third pig. I've been there. I mean, it's like when you're broke, everything that can go wrong will, and then they throw some of this crap on top of it.
Totally, absolutely.
And your life looks like a country song.
So it's that much more.
Biden wrote. I mean, it's awful. You know, I mean, it's horrible. It creates a huge. But the level of stress that you have, the level of anxiety that you have around inflationary matters, changes dramatically, or should.
Totally.
If you have your crap together because you've been following this stuff. This is the stuff that we teach is the only principles in finance that work in prosperous times and in hard times.
Yes. But also, so I would say the fourth pig lives too. Like when COVID hit, right? I know I'm the fourth pig. I don't know, I'm making it up as we go.
I know, I can tell.
But it's the same feeling as with COVID, that the people that were debt-free, had an emergency fund, all of that, their level of fear was way less.
Yes, that's my point.
All that. But there was still a level of, God, like,
yeah, I had that level. Yeah, so I mean, I get it.
So that's what I was just trying to acknowledge, that even though financially, the dollars and cents, you can still pay for the gas and like adjust your budget, and you're fine. You can pay for it.
Yeah, the dupes cut the stupid pump off at $125. I can't even fill up the truck. You know, I got to do it twice to fill it up.
That's why you need to go green.
I know, but
plug up.
Oh, good Lord!
And you don't have to do it.
Oh, good Lord! This is going downhill fast. But so
I can't fill up my truck.
The point is, though, that when you are prepared and you have done the things that we teach, this stuff does not have as much of an effect on you unless you choose drama. But the drama and the anxiety when you're broke is very real.
Yes.
I remember that. It's, like Deloney says, your body remembers it, and so, yeah, when the difference in $4 gas and $6 gas is a huge percentage of your world because you haven't done these things yet, or you've never chosen to do these things. These things being getting out of debt, saving money, living on a budget, living on less than you make, so that you can build wealth, so that you've got some buffer between you and all this crap that's out there. That's the third pig. And it is a real thing that, it doesn't mean you're looking down on the little people. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that you're the third pig. And the wolf is out there and he's huffing and puffing, but you're not going to die. And so the anxiety, if you have reasonable mental health, should be lower. You should not be at the same drama level. And so that's a real thing. And that's
one of the benefits of what we're saying.
It's why you do this.
Yeah, that's right.
It's why you do this, because guess what? If your anxiety level due to inflationary issues or whatever it is, budgetary problems, is lower, it affects your relationship when you go home at night with your kids and your spouse. It affects how you do your job at work, because you're not sitting and wringing your hands, and you can actually concentrate, get your job done. Guess what? And then you get promotions. And so this whole thing leads to prosperity and away from the other. And so this should be yet one more time in your life, if you're out there and have never decided I'm going to get out of debt. You've never really decided I'm going to get on a budget. I've never really decided I'm going to build some wealth and have an emergency fund. This is one more reminder to be the third pig, because you do have less stress.
Yes,
you
totally.
Should have less stress.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't mean it's not there. It doesn't mean you don't know it's there.
And
it doesn't mean you're in denial that people are having a hard time somewhere else other than you. You're not a snob. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying the natural reaction should be, it's inconvenient, versus it's world ending.
Yes. And even the simple thing, I was talking to someone who's getting out of debt, just being on a budget, she was like, even just that gives me a sense of control and peace, because I know where to adjust and all of it. And even though it's still tight and it's like, oh, it's frustrating, it still gives you this level of control versus, like you're saying, just laying out and being like, oh my gosh, everything's just happening to me and I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Giving yourself the ability to control what you can control. And that's this plan of getting an emergency fund in place, living on a budget, working your way out of debt so you don't owe anyone anything, building up an emergency fund, a fully funded one. Yeah, all of this, right, is to get to that point. So I totally concur. I just want to say they were still out of cream cheese. So that's the only thing I was saying in the break, is that there are still a few things that are bare on the shelves. And
I'm just saying it's not the end of the world. And it's less the end of the world. Yep. It's less drama and less stress when you're the third pig, or unless you've graduated to the fourth pig, which is the third pig with drama, apparently. But whatever that is, I don't know exactly what that is right now. We're going to rewrite the fable at this point, but we're going to have a Ramsey version of the fable, and Rachel's going to tell us how to do the fourth pig. But this is horrible. But
I don't know.
If only we could air what we talked about. You're just scared to death I'm not going to be empathetic of the people out there.
Well, all you said is that it didn't hurt month to month, the grocery bill, and I thought, I hurt. My every dollar, it hurt when I had to track that dang Costco transaction. I thought, dadgummit, it's just more. It just eats into it. My little line on my every dollar budget went way further than it did last month. So,
and that means that less pizza for you. And that's a problem.
Taquitos, Topo Chicos, all of it.
We get the fourth pig when we have less pizza. That's where the fourth pig comes out. So, Christina, there is quite a little stir going on, even among the Ramsey Baby Steppers community, about these I-bonds. We've got a couple of days if you want to put money into an I-bond and get 9.62% annual interest for Series I bonds. And so because the rate has gotten so high, it's gotten everybody's attention. Not everybody's attention, but people are buzzing about it. And so people are saying, Dave, what should we do? What should we do? What should we do? Well, let me tell you that how much money I have in I bonds and how much money I will be putting in I bonds. Precisely zero. Why is that? Well, 9.62 is the annualized interest rate for the first 6 months after 6 months, it will drop to whatever the prevailing rate is at that time, and that has traditionally been down closer to 5%. Most people are thinking it's going to be about 6.5% beginning in November, so you're pretty sure it's going to drop at least to that after 6 months. And if you do not leave your I bond alone 5 years to cash it out early, you get charged 3 months of the interest. That would be 1/4 of the interest. And so if you average 6.5 and 9.5, you would get 8 3/4, something like that, or 8.5 roughly, and seven and some change anyway. And then take 1/4 of that away. That's what you're going to be making, and even less because it's going to adjust down further later. So the problem is this: it's giving you decent. It's giving you way above average short-term interest rates, but it's not really a short-term interest product. It punishes you if you don't leave it alone long-term, and it's a lousy long-term product because I can make a lot more than 9.62 on average investing in good mutual funds. The stock market is average north of 11%. I've been investing in mutual funds for 40 years, and I've averaged way north of 12% on my mutual funds over that number of years, way better than 9.6. Oh, wait, it's not really 9.6. It's only 9.6 for 6 months. Oh, wait, you can't get it out earlier than 5 years unless you get 1/4 of the 3 months of interest is a penalty. And so people don't read the small. All they do is read the big, and the big print says, woo, 9.6 you can't beat 9.6. 9.6 is amazing. It's amazing. And yeah, it is amazing. That's a great interest rate on a short. If I could get 9.6 on a 6-month CD, I would take it.
Absolutely.
And I talk about moving some of my emergency fund there maybe, but that's not the terms on this. The terms are 5 years, or you have a 3-month penalty. The terms are it's not 9.6 for a year. It's 9.6 for 6 months on a 1-year bond. And you know what the last 6 months are? No, you don't, because they don't tell you until later. It could be anything. And I bonds have traditionally hovered down in the 5 and sub-5 range throughout their history. This is an anomaly that has jumped up, and so
well, I think
you just can't lock it in, and so it's a myth.
Right, and it's getting a bunch of hype in the news, and the headlines are saying that 9.6%, and then at the very bottom of the article it says, in like a small paragraph, the downsides, and it explains that change and the lock and all of that. So it's important to not just get lost in the hype, but realize the fine print.
CNBC article we have laying in front of us, for instance, says your last chance to secure 9.62% annual interest rate for Series I bonds is October 28th. Wait a minute. Not true. It's not annual. It's calculated as annual, but only for 6 months. 6 months is not annual. So, I mean, right off the bat, we've misled with the headline. But but it gives you something to write about. It's clickbait. It causes people to jump on your little site and read your little stuff. So, you're not stupid if you do this, but you're stupid if you do this thinking you're going to get 9.6% for more than 6 months, minus 3 months if you cash it out early. So if you're using this for your emergency fund, you cash it out early, you're going to negate most of what's there. So I don't screw around with this stuff. It's a variable interest rate product with long-term implications and heavy fees for cashing out early. So it's not a good short-term product, and it doesn't make enough to be a long-term product. So I don't have any money in it. That's why I don't have any money in it. I'm not trashing it. It's just, you just got to learn to look at these things a little more carefully. And once you realize all the gotchas, then you go, well, it's just not as sexy as it sounds.
Yeah.
Moses is with us in New York. Hey, Moses, how are you?
Good. By the grace of God, doing better than I deserve, and I already know you're doing the same.
Just the same. How can I help?
Yeah, so I am currently consumer debt free. I have a mortgage to pay. I just bought a house, and I was wondering what your thoughts are on installing solar panels paid in full in cash. Your thoughts on that?
Well, they have come a long way in the last decade in terms of efficiency, and your return on investment is a lot better than it used to be. Obviously, some areas of the country get more sun than other areas, And so in your particular area, they can do a pretty good analysis. And the other piece of information that enters into it is the cost of utilities in your area. And so we are in Tennessee. We have this thing called TVA, the Tennessee Valley Authority, that has worked very well to keep our utility costs way lower than most of the rest of the country. But for instance, in California, where the utility costs are very high and there's a lot of sun, it makes a ton of sense to do solar. In an area like Tennessee, it can make sense, or an area like New York, it can make sense. You just would have to run the numbers out on it, and probably one of the solar guys can give you some really solid data on it, because it has to do with number of hours of sunshine in a year, and the cost of utilities gives you your payback on it, right? That's your return on investment. But the good news is they have become much more reasonable in cost and much more efficient. The technology is improving every day in that world. And so I'm a big fan of solar panels. I endorse them in several cities around America with local people that install them, and I've looked at the numbers on those. I don't, in full disclosure, I don't have them on my home because I haven't found the way I wanted to do it. I live on the side of a hill with a lot of wind, and so anyway, I'm not doing it. But but mathematically, if you're paying cash for them, no payments, in some areas, the return on investment is excellent. In other areas, it's good. And so you just look at what your break even is. And, of course, you'd want to break even on them before you sold the house. Right. Because the idea that they increase the value of the house by the cost of the solar panels is not true in most areas. So you need to make your money back on the utility bill. And then if your house brings a little more because it's got panels on it later when you sell it, fine. So, in other words, you got to break even on the solar panel of 3.5 years, and you're going to sell your house in 2 years. You don't want to buy them. But if you're going to stay in the home a long time, then you can run the analysis with some local people in your area. And my general comment is, in general, I'm a fan. In some areas, I'm a big fan of the math.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, click the subscribe button to get the latest content and check out these other great clips from the show.
Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
Today's question comes from Arlo in Texas. Are those companies that say they will help you deal with the IRS legit? My husband and I had several years of unfiled taxes and fear that we owe the IRS a huge amount of money. Can those companies who claim that they can stop the IRS from garnishing your wages actually do it? Well, I'm just wondering why you're waiting till you get to the point of garnishing of wages. Why not just dig a little deeper, contact the IRS, and find out what you owe and pay it? And by the way, if you're in baby step 2, if you're working on paying off your debt, this is going to go right to the top of the list. This is going to be numero uno. Nothing ahead of it, because you don't want that to happen.
I would change one thing in that suggestion. We're not going to contact the IRS. We're going to contact a tax professional and file our taxes.
Well, yeah, you got to file your taxes.
And tell the IRS what you owe. They're not going to tell you what you owe. You don't want to ask the IRS anything because they don't know either. They're dumber than a rock.
That is true. They send those statements.
Yeah,
and
they
it's
just
like,
make up crap.
Yeah.
So, but no, you need to catch up on your tax filings and figure out where you are. And the answer to your question is no, those companies don't work.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the thing. If you file your taxes and get caught up, the likelihood of you being criminally charged for failure to file is very low. When you come forward, come out of the cold, so to speak, get back on the grid, so to speak, and file your taxes, they very seldom criminally charge you. Because failure to pay the IRS is not a criminal offense. Failure to file is a criminal offense.
Mm-hmm.
So about 2,572 people or something like that every year. Last year it's 2,572 get put in jail for not filing their taxes. It is a criminal offense. Okay, so you don't want to screw around with this. You need to right now before Christmas, immediately, get online at RamseySolutions.com. Click on our tax professionals, our ELPs, our endorsed local providers for taxes. Get your crap together. Go over there and get your taxes filed immediately, even if you don't pay them a dime and you don't have a dime.
That's right.
That's step one. Get rid of the probability of a criminal issue. Then we'll deal with the mathematical issue of can they garnish your wages and are there reductions. Okay, so let's get into that for just a second, because people are spending more time at home during the holidays and watching cable TV and cable news, where you see, we have former IRS agents working for us, and we can reduce your tax burden. If you have $10,000 or more in IRS debt, contact us, and we'll make your life okay. In the fine print, it says bullcrap, okay? So, because that's what it is. So here's the deal. That you can have a tax professional represent you that is not on cable TV, and they can help you with the process. There's a couple of things you can do. Thing one is what Jade said, scratch the money together and pay them. If you're not anywhere near that, at least contact them, and you can get on a payment plan.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous penalties and ridiculous interest. You don't want to do that. If you can get the money anywhere else, including borrowing it somewhere else and changing your IRS debt into credit card debt, I would have you do that, because it's a better deal.
Hey, say that again, because I told somebody that one time and they had my head for it.
No, you've got one kind of debt that's bad debt. I would rather you have a different kind of debt that is better debt.
I agree.
Okay, let me just tell you. Credit card debt is bankruptable. Credit card debt has to go through a legal process to garnish your wages. IRS debt is not bankruptable. IRS debt has a higher interest rate than credit card debt has. IRS debt can garnish your wages without going to court. They don't have to get a judge's permission. All other forms of debt have to. So this is the worst kind of debt to have. So if you can make it into another kind of debt, you got a $20,000 IRS debt, I would a lot rather you owe $20,000 on a credit card than $20,000 to the KGB.
Amen.
Okay? And if you guys don't like Jade saying that, well, you're stupid. Okay? So Jade was right when she said that. That's just, don't be stupid, okay? It makes life painful. So so now the next thing is this. You do the payment plan. Now, the other thing they say is we can reduce your tax burden. Bull.
Yeah, they'd have to do something shady.
No, there's one way you can do it legally, but it's so thin and narrow is the door. It's called an OIC, an offer in compromise. And you can submit to the IRS your situation and ask that they accept less than the actual tax debt. Try to get them to settle with you.
Like as a hardship?
Yep. When do they approve an offer in compromise to take your $100,000 debt and allow you to pay $20,000 instead? Okay?
Well, you'd have to prove that.
You have nothing.
Yeah.
No income, no potential for income, no assets, no house, no car, no money. You have to prove what they call pauper status.
Wow.
Poor people. You got to be homeless, basically, penniless, and then they will approve a compromise because they don't think they're going to get their taxes anyway. But I'm telling you, to get an OIC through, and I've gotten a few of them through. I've worked with clients over the years that were in hardship situations and had massive tax bills, and we've worked with tax attorneys that we paid good money to, not some goober on cable television, okay? And you can get an OIC through. But I'm telling you, out of 100 that I work on, or I have worked on over the years, I've gotten 3 or 4 through. Wow. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't want to be on that status.
Well, you got the things it's like, well, it's inconvenient. They don't care if it's inconvenient. You have a car, sell the car and pay me. You have a house, sell your house and pay me. They don't care if you're homeless. You don't care your grandmother's diamond brooch. They don't care. Sell it. Yeah. They want to know everything, and not revealing assets to them in this process is also criminal fraud.
Yeah.
So this is you're just playing with Tiger here. You don't want to deal with these people. What you want to do is get your taxes filed, get on a payment plan, roll up your dadgum sleeves and clean up your mess, and quit looking for easy fixes for major stupid stuff. Usually major stupid stuff comes with major problems to fix it.
Yeah.
There's no quick and easy. You don't get out of debt quick. It took you 20 years to make the mess. You're not going to get out in 20 minutes.
And for the self-employed people that are listening,
Pay your dadgum taxes.
Just file your quarterly. Please, just do it. And if you don't want to do it yourself, invest a little bit of money and just hire a bookkeeper to stay on top of this and make sure that that is going through properly for you. I'd rather pay them a little bit of money every year than deal with a tax burden and deal with getting myself in hot water with the IRS. I'm
1099 and I forgot I had to pay taxes.
You forgot?
You know, I mean, this is what I made $100,000. I paid no taxes for 2 years. That means you made $200,000. That means you have a tax bill of $50,000 laying around or more. And so, you know,
that's a lot.
You do not want to have this crap sneak up on you. It's not really sneaking up on you. You're just pretty much, we just discovered denial is not just a river in Egypt. You totally stuck your head in the sand. How's that? Okay.
So let's make it clear, Dave, because we say all the time, don't use a professional for this. Don't use a guy for this, but use a guy for this. So make it clear.
Do not use cable TV people to fix anything in your money.
We don't do consolidation.
If the commercial runs between Snuggies and walk-in bathtubs, it's not a credible operation. Okay? Hello.
Not Snuggies.
Think about it. You know, if your financial advice comes between walk-in bathtubs and Snuggies, you got bad financial advice. I'm just telling you, okay? That this is what you got. Think about what's going on around you, okay? Create your free every dollar budget today, the simplest way to budget for your life. Mary's in Boise, Idaho. Hi, Mary. Welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hello. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I have a question about gift giving and gift receiving at the holidays. My husband and I we don't have any debt other than like no credit card debt, no student loan debt. We do have some automobile debt in our home, of course. So we're rapidly paying those off. And every year we tell our siblings, I have 3 siblings. My husband has 2. We have a total of 11 nieces and nephews, plus our parents. We just say, no gifts. We just want to see you. We just want to hang out. And every year we find out everybody's getting us gifts. And then last minute we decide to buy them something, but it doesn't feel like it's coming from the heart. So I guess my question is it cheap of us to know that we're going to be receiving gifts and not give gifts because we're focusing on ourselves? Or is this the time when we just put our financial goals aside so that we can gift people with something?
I don't think you're cheap.
cheap.
I personally don't think you're cheap. I think forced generosity, where I'm giving you something and I'm expecting something in return, that is not the spirit of giving to begin with. So if you've had that conversation and they are resentful of you, then you can't carry that. That's not on you.
I don't feel like there's resentment there.
It's guilt on your
too
end.
Bad. We're gonna give you something anyway. So I guess it's just in between our ears where we feel like we're being cheap by not getting everybody something. Yeah. But I mean, if you do the math, you
can do whatever you want to do. Obviously, any family can do whatever they want to do. Our families years ago, when Sharon and I went broke, we sat down with all of her brothers and sisters. There's 13 grandkids on that side, and 5 brothers and sisters and spouses, right? So there's 20-something people involved.
Yeah.
And going into Christmas at her folks, as an example, all right? And we had to sit down with them, and we said, guys, we're really sorry. We cannot afford to buy everybody a gift, and so we're begging you guys to join us in this. It's kind of gotten ridiculous anyway. And let the adults draw names, and each one buy one a gift. And little kids that are under, 10 or something get gifts, and the rest of them are in the drawing, or whatever thing. And would y'all join us in this? Because we don't want to come in here and feel guilty. And if y'all are all going to give each other gifts and we're going to be sitting here feeling guilty, we're not going to be able to come because we don't want to sit here in that.
Okay.
And you know what? They went, thank God somebody said it out loud. We always were thinking the same thing. They weren't even broken. They were just glad to draw names because it gets just dumb anyway, right? I mean, you're buying somebody, you see 4 or 5 times a year a gift, and they've already bought anything they really wanted, and so it goes in a drawer or it's thrown away or ends up in the seldom used kitchen items bin or whatever it is, And so it starts to be silly, really.
Yeah.
In most families. Now, some families are unbelievably into it and whatever. That's fine. But I would just have a conversation. Please don't put us in this position. And
then I guess my next question is, when you get to the step of give wealth and get, gain wealth and give, or I'm messing it up.
Listen, we're extremely wealthy, and our kids, the Ramsey kids, got together at Thanksgiving and drew names. As a matter of fact, there's an app that you can use to draw names.
Okay.
I found that out at the Thanksgiving table this year.
There's an app for that.
Of course, Rachel knows there's an app for drawing names, right?
And I think it's more fun anyways that way. And
Yeah.
then no one's going, well, he got 3 gifts and I got 2 and his were worth more than... And it just becomes a weird spirit to the whole
But
thing.
I mean, our kids can afford to
Yeah.
give each other anything they want to give them, and we can afford to give them anything we want to give them. It's ridiculous. And we don't. We don't. I mean, we drew names, and we're going to do that. And... now Mimi's going to...
our philosophy is, just spending time with each other. That's all the gifts we want. Even if we were millionaires, it's like, I just want to spend time with you.
That's the point.
Yeah.
And so we do one gift in the spirit of gift giving for adults, and all the little kids get gifts. And it's fun to watch the little 7-year-olds get gifts. That's fine. That usually doesn't kill you. But it's just the big thing here is the manipulation of the relationship process, to where you ask them not to put you into this position. And you'll probably find that somebody will go along, and you may have to kind of draw a line and go, we're just not going to be able to be here if you're going to put us in this position, because we just don't think that way. And, we'll get with you another time. And we're not going to sit here and watch all y'all open gifts and we didn't buy them. That's just weird.
Awkward.
That's awkward as crud. That's just weird. I don't want to be guilt tripped intentionally or unintentionally, or in my own ear, between my own ears, or whatever. It's a difficult time. The beauty, George, of this time of year is you get to see your family. The bad thing is you get to see your family.
Both and. Our cousins sit around. We're adults now, and we just give each other a $25 gift card, and I get a $25 gift card.
The dirty Santa stuff is a lot more fun.
Yes, the gag gifts, have fun with it, steal
That's
from each
a lot
other.
more fun.
Set a gift limit. I think that should be the new trend this Christmas. Well, I found this article earlier today, Dave, and it was interesting because I found some conflicting news. So maybe you can help me sort this out. Here's one from Fox Business, which was encouraging. More Americans optimistic about their finances in 2022 despite inflation. So, inflation's rising at the fastest pace in decades, it says, which means consumers are paying more for rent, utilities, groceries than ever before, plus federal student loan payments restart this year, potentially impacting financial stability of millions of borrowers. However, a new survey from Ally Bank shows that most Americans are optimistic about their finances, despite all of this. More than half, 53% of respondents, said they're confident about their personal financial standing. 59% believe they'll be better off financially a year from now. And 2/3, 65%, said they'll likely achieve their financial goals for 2022, even with record high inflation. So people out there are optimistic.
And even with the fact that they've gone further in debt in 2021 than at any time in history.
That's the
Consumer debt went
confusing
through
part.
the roof.
Here's what we're seeing from Reuters here. U.S. household debt increased by $1 trillion in 2021, the most since 2007. Higher borrowing was fueled in part by rising prices as consumers cope with the strongest inflation seen in nearly 4 decades, and households supported by increased savings and higher incomes seem to be handling the larger debt loads well so far. So this brings me to my next point, Dave. I'm curious. You've seen some things in your day. Not trying to age you here, but you've been through 2008. You've been through a real recession. And this is saying the debt has increased the most since 2007, right before our last big recession. Do you feel like we're heading towards another one based on these numbers?
Well, I don't know. I don't know the answer on that. Economists and weather forecasters, the only people who can be wrong all the time, keep their jobs.
It's a good job to have then.
But the thing that always does run parallel with this, okay, is if my income is high enough and I can keep spending even money I don't have by going further into debt, then I can ignore inflation, and I can ignore the fact that I'm going further in debt than I ever have in my life, and I can ignore the fact that the United States of America is going further in debt than it has ever gone in, that the deficit has doubled in 1 decade. Doubled. The amount of debt we're in the United States has doubled. The United States government has doubled the debt, and that pulls money out of the economy. So when the U.S. borrows money using bonds and parks it on the sidelines, they borrow $1 trillion here, $1 trillion there, and they park that money over on the shelf. It's no longer out here moving around doing things. It's sitting over here. So they're sidelining it. They're shrinking the money supply by sucking the marrow out of the bones of the economy with the borrowing for the United States government. That's what they're doing. Then add to that the consumer's doing the same stupid thing, only the consumer's stimulating the economy because they're buying things in the economy, and that's cycling. Yeah. That money's cycling. So when they spend money on a car, even if it's borrowed money, that car purchase goes into a car company, which goes into car company salaries, which goes back into the rest. That guy working at the car company on the Toyota line can go out and buy a steak, and which, by the way, doubled too. And so because they must have universal wage and at the cattle farm. So, wages are impacting all of these prices left and right. So we're making more, spending more, and spending more due to inflation as well. And so what we've got here is we've got a recipe for a comeuppance.
It's a good way to say it.
Sounds like Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
Comeuppance. A comeuppance is coming. It's a heffalump. It's a comeuppance is coming. The heffalumps are coming.
We've got record low interest rates.
That's what's happening because what you're doing is think about this just on an individual level. All right. Think about your friend who's borrowing himself into oblivion. He's going to get the car payment. He's going on vacation on a credit card, and you can just watch him. He's heading to the wall. He's going to hit the wall. He's going to hit the financial wall, and you can't stop him because he feels good because he's making more money than he ever made in his life because he just got out of college, and he got a big job, but he's spending more. He's spending like he's in Congress, and a comeuppance is coming. You know that on an individual basis, and that's what this says on a macro basis.
Wow. So it doesn't matter how you feel about finances. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to rely on the economy to decide, to dictate your financial goals? Not me.
Please, no.
Brought to you by CHM, a biblically based alternative to health insurance. Learn more at chministries.org/budget.
So my wife and I have done a wonderful job at saving and investing. Depending upon the age that we retire at, I don't think it's unrealistic that we could end up with a nest egg of between $8 and $12 million.
Well done, sir. Touchdown.
Thank you. So my question is, we're a Christian family. We have 4 younger, wonderful daughters between the ages of 7 and 13 right now. And I want to know what you feel is appropriate to leave behind as an inheritance, because we're conscious of what the Bible says about money, and we don't want to spoil our children or teach them to rely on money as opposed to relying on God for their needs, going forward after we pass.
Mm-hmm. Do you not think it's possible to teach them that, and with having built that character, that they're then able to own this wealth like you are able to own this wealth?
Well, I'm not saying that at all. I just, I never had a nest egg like that passed to me.
No, I know.
And so,
But do you think the only way to learn it is to start out broke?
No, I don't think so.
And the Bible does not say it's bad to leave an inheritance. As a matter of fact, it says the opposite. A godly man leaves an inheritance to his children's children is a Bible verse.
Totally agree with you.
Okay.
I just didn't know if there was maybe a line that maybe, you might cross over, like that's too much or something like that.
It's not an amount. It's a principle. And so here's the principle. You are not obligated, biblically or otherwise, to leave the money to your children. Okay? But to assume that it's going to damage them is not true. Okay? So what wealth does do is it magnifies the character of the person, including you, including me, and including your kids and my kids and Jade's kids. Okay? It magnifies the character of the person. So the problems in my character are magnified when I've got wealth because it gives me power. Does that make sense? The good parts of my character are also magnified. So someone that has a problem with their temper when they become wealthy becomes a rageaholic, and don't you know who I am? Comes out of their mouth. And stupid stuff like that, right? But someone who's generous, when they become wealthy, we call them a philanthropist because they change entire communities with their generosity. So whatever it is, good or bad, is magnified. And so the first thing that we taught the Ramsey kids is you're not entitled to anything. just because you hit the gene pool lottery, right?
Yep.
You're not entitled to anything, number one. Number two, in order to be to qualify to manage the Ramsey wealth, the next generation, you have to have a spiritual understanding of the wealth, and that is that you don't own it. God owns it. You're just managing it. And once you grasp that, you realize wealth is the reasons that the Bible has warnings about wealth, because it's heavy to carry. It's a lot of responsibility to leave one of your children that becomes an adult $10 or $15 million, probably by then each. Okay.
Yes.
And so you leave one of them $10 million. That's a lot of responsibility if their job is to manage it for God, for His glory, which includes taking care of your own household.
Mark, let me ask a question on your behalf, because when I hear your question, I have thoughts of my own. Because here's the thing: if you live to be 80 and your kids are older when they start receiving this wealth, that in some ways that feels a little bit better. It's like, okay, they've got to experience life. They're not dependent on this money at that point. But what if the worst were to happen and they got access to this money earlier, right? Maybe when they're in their early 20s. How, Dave, then would you disperse this amount to where it is helpful to them? It's not too heavy at one season. Would you disperse it? What would you do?
Well, ours was set up until they reached 25 to have some kind of different dispersion, right? So like when they're minors, it was to be managed, and in order to qualify for a disbursement at 25 in the trust, they would have to have done this, and this, okay? Be walking with God and, actively. So you're not, in other words, we don't want to fund a cocaine habit on the back of a yacht for a reality star. That's not what we want this money to go for. And so if you're going to do that, then you don't qualify anymore into the trust, right?
But is there a limit that you'd give a 25-year-old?
As a
disbursement?
No, I didn't. I had it at 25. We turned it all over to them.
Oh wow!
No, we haven't turned it over because I'm alive.
I'm saying you would have.
Mine are now. The youngest is 33. So, but today, if I die, it's just dispersed. But if any one of them decides to live a life that disqualifies them as a manager of God's money, then they're not going to be able to get any. They're taken out of the trust immediately. So, so because it's not really my money and it's not really their money, we are managing it. One of the beauties of managing it is you get to enjoy some of it, but most of the managing of it is a weight of generosity and a weight of other things. So, what I want you to avoid, Mark, is this: there is a thread that runs through some of our Christian churches that says that money is bad. Money is not bad. It's not good or bad. It's amoral. It doesn't have morals. What it does is it exposes the morals and character of the people that it touches. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And so our job as parents is to raise children that become qualified stewards. Meaning and then I leave it to them, and I don't think anything about it, because I am well aware that the temple was built by Solomon atop Mount Moriah in Jerusalem, and in today's dollars, it would be somewhere around between $10 and $20 billion building. It was not built with Solomon's money; it was built with his dad's money. It was inherited money, David's money. Solomon's David's son. It was inherited money used to build the temple of God. And so, we're sure that God uses families that have character generationally to manage His goods. So it's not unchristian to do this. What you don't want to do is leave it to someone who it does harm to, because they've got a problem in their life and it expands the problem.
Well, I think too, we're used to seeing, it's almost like we're filtering it through, you see a lottery winner, they win a bunch of money, they have this huge amount of money that comes into their life, or an athlete who has this huge amount of money come into their life, and before you know it, And
I've sat with those guys in NFL many, many times, and what I'm dealing with is a 21-year-old who has one skill. In all of his life skill buckets, he has one bucket. He plays football. He doesn't know how to do anything else. And that is exposed when he gets a $10 million signing bonus. And he loses it almost instantaneously. 3.8 years is the average NFL career, and most people leave the NFL broke. The exception would be mainly the offensive line, because generally those are the smartest guys on the team. This is The Ramsey Show.
CHM isn't health insurance. It's a health cost-sharing ministry. Check it out for yourself at chministries.org/budget.
Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
Today's question comes from Jeff in Florida. I got a new job recently and I have a boss from hell. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get fired soon. The problem is I enjoy the work and I get paid well. I tried looking for other jobs similar to this, but there's none in my area. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells at work, like I know it's a matter of time before I get fired. I paused baby step 2 to start saving in case I get fired. I now have $2,200 saved up. I figure we can live on one income if we sell our cars and take our kid out of daycare. Should I start 1, looking for a new job, 2, downgrade everything except childcare to prepare for the worst case scenario? If I downgrade and get a job, I'll have that extra income to pay off debt, which is a substantial amount. So yeah, I should be looking for a job right away and taking maybe 1 or 2 extra jobs while looking. If you really feel like the shoe is about to drop and you could get fired at any moment, you just want to be stacking cash, which means making some extra cash right now. If it were this bad, the way you're describing it, I would be working extra, saving extra, pausing some things, sure. But let's move quickly. Because you know what the work is. I'm not going to accept the reality just automatically that I've tried looking for jobs similar to this, but there's none in my area.
You were looking for one when you found that one.
Yeah, I just never want to accept that.
That's a bull crap, okay? You know, there's no houses for rent in this area. Of course there's houses for rent in your area. You just don't like them, you know. So, yeah, you need to look for another position immediately. And, I'm going to throw in one other thing. I cannot tell this from this email, but Jeff, I want you to ask yourself, are you whining? Is your boss really the boss from hell, or are you the lame employee from hell? You just got the job. You walk in the door, and they ask you to do some work. And you don't like that. Are you whining? It might not be true.
Yeah.
But I would want to ask myself that question.
Well, you actually make
Why
another
is
point.
it that you're so freaking useless that even the boss from hell is going to fire you quickly?
Well, let me throw another scenario that could be out there too. This could be a boss who maybe not the boss from hell, but's got a lot of crap going on in their own life, personal life. Maybe they're stressed out of their mind. And this boss isn't talking to you with the sweetest, kindest of demeanors and voice. And maybe he's a little grumpy. And maybe you're not going to get fired at all. Maybe they got some rough stuff going on in their life. And you think because of the way they're treating you, you're going to get fired.
Yeah, like, are you whining? That's what I'm asking.
That's right. But what's the cause of them thinking that the boss is from hell? Maybe they're just having a bad day or a couple bad days. And you're not going to get fired.
Everybody that disagrees with you is not a narcissist.
Yeah, it's interesting.
You know? Everybody that you don't like the way they said something is not a toxic work environment.
Mm-hmm.
And people telling you to do your job is not a toxic work environment. That's like you buckle up, buttercup, you know? So I don't know if that's what's going on or not.
Yeah, it could be.
Sometimes that stuff comes up. It doesn't come up here. We don't run into it much because you don't even make it through the interview process if you're going to be that wimpy here, because we get crap done and we don't pull any punches. I could be the boss from hell because I believe you ought to work and stuff because you got to outwork me, and I'm 63 years old and been doing this 40 years. So keep up, kiddo. You know, buckle in. So this is what we're doing. I mean, if you're not going to do that, you're not going to like me.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you would. Jeff, I don't know that that's you. But if you're ever facing this, I'm increasingly hearing, and Ken is too, in the career space, that every environment that feels momentarily unpleasant, like I'm going to get a callus, is a toxic work environment.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's just the wussification of America.
That's right.
You're just being a wuss, you know? Suck it up and dig, get the shovel, dig the hole, man.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's really what's going on, I don't know if that's what's going on. So, Jeff, ask yourself, are you whining? Are you being a wuss? Is it really that bad? Are you exaggerating and melodramatic this? I mean, you just took the job. How could you mess up the interview that bad?
Yeah, well, here's another clue in this. I enjoy the work, he says, and I get paid well. People don't enjoy doing stuff they suck at. So he's either delusional, and I don't think he is, or I think this is an emotional situation. He doesn't like the way he's being talked to and treated, and I get that, whether he's whining or not. But the issue is, don't think that the boss is going to fire you just because they're not talking to you with roses and, and treats and, that's the issue. Yeah. People quit too soon in these days because they want to be coddled.
That's what I'm saying.
You can't get coddled at the workplace.
That's what I'm saying. And it's not, I do not expect anyone to stay in a real toxic work environment. But asking someone to work and correcting them if they don't do the work properly is not a toxic work environment. That's called training.
Yeah.
Okay?
I think back to my favorite coach all time, Benny Polk, high school basketball. If you would have watched those practices from outside the gym doors and just watched his demeanor, you would have thought he was verbally abusing us. He wasn't. He was, well, in today's world he was, but he was just coaching us. And I think there's a difference between verbal abuse, bullying, and all the stuff we hear about, and then just good old-fashioned, tough-nosed leadership sometimes. It's not all roses and pom-poms.
Well, I mean, Jeff, I am not accusing you of that. I am suggesting, though, that just reading through the email and the way this is put together, that, maybe you need to analyze is how much of this is you. If it's not you and it's truly just a guy that's being a twerp and he's a jerk and he's yelling and screaming or something, I wouldn't ask you to work there. We don't yell and scream at Ramsey. We don't cuss at our team. We don't do that. We don't abuse. We're not the bosses from hell. But I have been accused of being that just because I told somebody to get up off their butt and get their stuff done. Okay? And if you don't like that, you don't need to work around here because we get stuff done. We leave the cave, kill something, and drag it home pretty regular. And when you kill something, usually there's blood. So get ready. There's crap going on here. All right? So this is what's going on. And so you got to decide if that's, that's a part of the equation here. Like I've been fired from jobs too, and one time I got fired is 100% my fault. It took me a little while to realize that. When I went broke, it was 100% my fault. You know who got me broke? The idiot in my mirror. And one of the best things I did in my life is discover that he was the problem. Create your free every dollar budget today, the simplest way to budget for your life. Matt is in San Bernardino, California. Hi, Matt. How are you?
Hi, guys. How you guys doing today?
Better than we deserve, sir. How can we help?
Perfect. I just want to make this quick. I have a quick question for you. So it's about making a mistake on skipping the baby step. So I had about $20,000 in savings by the age of 23. I'm now 24. I started a business and I lost it all. But then I got in touch with Dave Ramsey and I realized I had debt that I should have paid off before I started a business. So I have $8,000 left to pay off on my car loan out of $22,000. I have approximately $4,000 in my stocks that could help me get out of debt in 3 months instead of 6 months. So I thought I could skip baby step 2 because the interest was so low, but I just feel like a slave now.
Okay. Well, the paradox is that if you the very nature of skipping a baby step means you didn't take the baby step.
Right.
Yeah.
Well played, Dave. Well played. Dave was in honors classes, Matt.
I had to learn that the hard way.
We've all been there, man.
So what we're really saying is, are you really now ready to follow this system, or are you going to continue to do Matt's system?
No, I'm completely ready to.
Okay, then our system is you would liquidate anything that is not retirement, anything you can sell that you don't have to have, that's not a retirement account, and down to $1,000 in savings. That's baby step 1, and everything else goes on your debt, which is your car, right?
Right.
So your stocks are worth $4,000. What else do you have you can liquidate?
I can sell my motorcycle.
Okay, what's it worth?
Probably about 2,000.
Okay. Says something on my screen about crypto. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so all the 4,000 is in my crypto and individual stocks. That I
Okay,
had
so that's
bought
the
when I was,
total
like,
portfolio. Okay. All right. So
Yep.
you liquidate that. And you make what a year?
50,000.
And what'd you say the motorcycle was worth?
About 2,000.
Okay. And it was 8,000 on the car, right?
Yes. So I could pay it all off in 6 months, but I'm so eager to be out of debt. It's like, I need to do it in 3 months. I need to get it done.
Do it in 2. Sell everything and then start driving Uber after work. Get done, man. Get done.
Yeah.
2 months.
Yeah. Sell the motorcycle, sell all the stuff. Because what you're doing is you're resetting your brain into a different groove. And the groove is, I'm going to follow this to a T, and I'm going to follow it with intensity. And that sets your life pattern up, your habit patterns up to carry forward another decade. If you do that, the more extreme you get, the more you deepen that groove, is what we're saying. That's what the gazelle intensity thing is. That's really the essence of it.
The one challenge I have when folks are able just to sell everything their way to it is you don't have to do behavior change. You can sell some stuff, though. But he's going to have to.
Because he's got 4,000 in crypto and stocks. He's got 2,000 in motorcycles. He's got 8,000 on the car. So he's still 2,000 in the hole.
Right.
So and you got to keep 1,000 back. So 3,000 in the hole. And so let's just get in attack mode right here. And like John said, work like a crazy man. Take all the extra hours you can get doing something. And, before the end of the summer, you should be 100% debt free. And you will have adjusted your mind to fit this the rest of the time.
And you will never do it again.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. And, it's what I would do if I woke up in your shoes.
Yeah.
And that's how I answer questions here. Knowing what I know, having coached millions of people on becoming wealthy, what is the shortest possible right path to do it? And it is deep levels of sacrifice. And because that permanently changes who you are. John, the negative thing about me and Sharon going broke in our 20s and losing $3 million worth of real estate that I had borrowed too much on and losing everything. And the year Rachel's born, we have to file bankruptcy because we're just completely devastated financially, emotionally, spiritually, and everything. The beauty of that extreme experience is the change that resulted from it was permanent.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a deep, deep, deep groove, and I've never gotten out of that groove again.
Yeah.
There was a deep ditch. I couldn't get out of in your brain. The way, it's the neuroplasticity, I can't say it, research indicates now that's actually a physical thing in your brain.
So let me ask you a hard question. You make this switch, and it happens. And let's fast forward a decade, and let's say you stuck to this in your home, and then here at work, there had to have been seasons where in a traditional business setting that just goes to the bank for some, man, that would have been nice. And you looked at it and said, I could take this shortcut here. We can go take a big business loan out because I just need to be able to buy these new books or be able to get this new building. And you were quick enough to do the math on the back of a napkin and say, or it's going to be 7 years or 6 years. We're doing this the right way. That's a different level of behavior change that says, come what may, I'm willing to fill in the blank because this is the right thing to do. What kept you going in those seasons? Because that's hard.
Yeah. I was playing golf the other day with a guy who's a raging alcoholic, and he's been dry for 14 years and some change. And, we were out there and we were talking about all kinds of trash on the golf course and everything else. And I said, so, that one right there will drive you to drink. And I was making a joke with him because we're good enough friends. Yeah. He can handle that. And he's like, no. And he turned on me, he back got up, right? The hair stood up on the back of his neck. And he's like, there's nothing going to drive me to drink.
Oh, wow.
And, there's it's that kind of a thing, right?
Yep.
And that's the way I am about debt, and it's just, no. There's nothing I want bad enough. There's nothing you can threaten me with. You can't make me afraid enough to believe that this is the best way out.
Gotcha. Or the only way out.
Ever again.
Wow.
And so, we had this building under option that we could buy for $5 million, and we didn't have $5 million. And while I had it, as a 5-year lease with an option, while I had it under option, the value went from $5 million to $12 million. So not closing on this is walking away from a $7 million game. Right? Which is blowing my mind.
Right.
I'm getting nickels out of the corner of the couch trying to get the money together to close on this thing. We closed on it with 1 month to go. But Sharon and I talked about it several times. If God wants us to have this building, we'll find the money. He'll show us how to find the money. If he didn't want us to have this building, we won't have the money, and we're not closing on it, no matter what it looks like, no matter what the gain is. Never. You ain't got anything I want bad enough. And that was about the biggest temptation I can remember because the gain was so large.
Yeah. Wow.
No, never again. Hey, I want to circle back for a second because kids' activities, John, is one of the things that is a budget buster in our world. And sometimes I get roundly and wrongly criticized by saying no children should ever have any activity. Dave Ramsey's too cheap. You should never, if you're following Dave Ramsey plan, you should never have a child in any kind of extracurricular activity that costs money ever under any circumstances. That's just not true. Right. I do not say that. I've never said that ever in 30 years of doing this. What I have attempted to do is what we did in the Ramsey household is to use some common sense when it comes to kids' activities. If Little League baseball is funded, but the college fund isn't, ding, ding, wrong. Right. Well, he might play college on a scholarship. He might not, too. She might not, too.
Statistically speaking, probably won't.
Very statistically speaking. And if they go to college, the chances that they play pro are 1% of the NCAA athletes go pro. 1 freaking %.
So how do we translate that statistics? Probably not your kid.
Not your kid.
Probably not your kid.
Not your kid.
Right.
So, let's think this through then. What are extracurricular activities for? Our piano lessons, dance lessons, Little League sports of all kinds, cheerleading competitions and lessons. Nothing evil inherently about any of them, but like so many things, when they go to an extreme and they violate common sense, many times it's more about the adults than the kids, and you bust your budget doing it.
Yeah, man, I've got a whole section in this new book about that, about over the last 25, 30 years, there's this weird switch. Kids used to be furniture or pets at best, right? I've got to make sure we run this household, and over the last 25, 30 years, they've turned into the epicenter of the household. And
in the name of nurturing.
It started out in the name of nurturing, and it's become in the name of propping up my ego because I'm not happy at work, I'm not happy in my marriage, I'm not happy, I'm disconnected from my church, my community. But if you find yourself waking up thinking about Little League baseball plays, you probably got a problem. If you wake up thinking,
if you're an adult,
I'm going to pitch this guy in this weekend, or okay, if my daughter can pull this trick off, then she can get this and that. We've gone way overboard, man, and we've taken the fun.
The way that the parents treat the referees tell you that
it's bananas. I've got friends who are, I worked in college. I got friends who are trainers in college, in universities across the country, telling me they've got athletes who are 18 coming with overuse joint injuries in their shoulders, knees, and hips that they see in elderly populations because these kids from age 4 are getting personalized coaches and specialized this, and you're only going to play this, and you're playing year-round, not doing other sports, not just running and playing and being a kid. There's so much psychology about the importance of just let your kids play. It's how they figure stuff out. It's how they stretch their imagination. They develop neural connections. All that stuff happens. But, man, when they feel like they're in a job, a kid cannot prop up and hold up. And I'm getting fired up about this. I'm sorry. They do not have the strength to hold up a mom or a dad's self-esteem. They do not have the strength to hold up a home. And the number of calls I get on my show about a dad yelling at a kid for his athletic performance, or all of that stuff breeds insanity. Stop it, man. Let your kids play.
And your treasure's where your heart is. So
always.
What if you see that you're spending so much on this that it feels out of whack? You know why it feels that way? Because it's probably out of whack.
Right.
It's probably out of control.
That's right.
Now, our kids did cheerleading and took cheerleading coaching a
Well,
little
my
bit.
kids play,
a little
yeah.
bit, and my kids played rec sports of all kinds. I talked about Daniel playing hockey a minute ago. We spend money on other things around that kind of a thing, but we were under no illusion that our child was going to make a living cheerleading.
And I'm under every illusion that if I feel my blood pressure boiling over the performance of a 9-year-old, the problem is not the 9-year-old, the problem is me.
You know, it's one of the reasons I dropped my UT tickets, because my blood pressure was boiling over someone else's 18-year-old.
Over teenagers.
These are teenagers with 120,000 people threatening to kill them.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Over the use of a pigskin.
Yeah, that's right.
And
Playing
I
a game.
thought, you know what? I've lost my rabid mind.
I'm with you.
And I'm a football fan, but I spent a bazillion dollars to go watch the game to be angry.
You're right.
And I thought, I'm just stupid.
Or the opposite, to
I'm
have
stupid.
my week fulfilled because a group of teenagers rallied up and won a game.
Yeah.
And if you're a Tennessee fan, that never happens. Right?
Now, careful. Now, see what you did. Yeah, I see what you did there.
But yeah, we and again,
so,
my kids
so
play
again,
sports.
Is travel sports illegal?
No.
Is sports illegal? No. Is spending money on violin lessons? No. Music is great. Music is good for the brain development.
That's right. I spend money on that stuff for my kids. Yeah.
And that's fine. But my wife took piano lessons. And get this, you might be a hillbilly if harmonica lessons.
There you
okay. So, and we have the harmonica. So we have used it a time or two in some family jokes beyond belief, but giving her a hard time. But she could play neither.
Yeah.
Now, neither.
But she can deal with you, and I think all the lessons she got growing up all came together for a purpose. God doesn't waste anything, Dave.
Nothing wasted in God's economy.
Nothing's wasted.
Oh, touche. So, I mean, that's the thing. So,
let me. Yeah.
So, here's the thing: if you are advancing their maturity, their ability to move into adulthood, fine. But if they're playing for you, which you can tell that with some of the symptoms you laid out, that's a problem. And one of the ways you can tell that is the money will tell you, because the money gets out of control.
Right.
What you're freaking spending on the travel, on the lessons, on the specialization, relative to your overall budget.
That's right.
Now, again, if you got $20 million and you want to spend $100,000 on your kid to go do whatever, that's fine.
Knock your lights out.
That's
right.
fine.
That's right.
But even that, you got to look at it and go, this is a kid. I just dropped $100K on a sport they're never going to use. Or on a music lesson they're really not going to develop into.
A lot of parents have stopped asking their kids, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? One of my worst parenting moments that has become one of my favorite, I would come home, I was exhausted when I was a dean of students, I would plop on the couch and I would watch the Astros game. And I would try to, instead of going out and playing ball with my son, I tried to get him to watch it with me. Going out and being with him, I'd say, hey, let's watch together. And then one day he said, hey, Dad, this is just 6-year-old innocence, said, hey, Dad, do you love me as much as the Astros? And that's when we turned it off and canceled it. And then this is just a few weeks ago, he came and said, called a family meeting. I thought, oh, no, what has happened? Oh, he's 12. He's too young to be saying, hey, Mom, Dad, we need to talk. But he said, I don't know how y'all are going to feel about this, but I'm interested in not playing Sport X this year. I would love to try out for the school play. I've never been prouder of a 12-year-old, which tells us we redeemed that and said, give him some language. What are some things you're interested in? Let's try stuff. Let's expand it. We're not going to – no one's handing out scholarships for 12-year-olds. Let's let these kids go back to playing, and let's let us do the hard work of getting our identity in other places, man.
I wish it was not true, but they are giving out scholarships for 12 years.
They probably –
but they shouldn't be.
That's right.
Yeah, we're getting there. But the thing is this, guys, you need to – money in your life, where you're putting it and the ratios on where you're putting it will speak to you as a symptom of an underlying problem.
And where you feel anger is also a symptom. It's
of an underlying problem.
That's right. It's a signal. Yeah.
Or great fear or anxiety.
That's right.
Also, same thing.
Caleb joins us in Indianapolis. Caleb, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
What's up, man?
Oh, not much. I had kind of a career question for you guys. I started a new job about 2 months ago, and that time I've been fully remote. The day, actually, well, not the day, but the week I started, the company instituted a booster requirement.
Okay.
But since we've been fully remote, they haven't really enforced it. However, today they basically said a month from today, everyone has to be in the office 2 days a week, and they are enforcing the booster.
Okay.
So I'm just kind of at a crossroads. Like I'm not boosted. Trying to figure out kind of the best way to handle this, especially being so new into the role. Just kind of the best way to go about this.
So, man, I've had this conversation a lot over especially the last year. Here's the simplest way to go about it. Do you want to get the booster and keep your job? Or do you feel strongly about not getting the booster and you're just going to need to go find another job?
Yeah.
And what I've found is any other angst you give yourself, any other rage, I get all that, whatever side of this you fall on. But any additional weight you bring to the conversation beyond answering those two questions is a choice for you. You're choosing to be more miserable. Don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel really strongly, I'm not doing this, great. Go get another job. Just be in the market today. Start applying today. You got all weekend. Get after it. If you say, man, I hate this, but I'm going to go ahead and do it, great. Then go do it with a smile on your face and then go on about your day. Anything other than that is a choice to be miserable. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's just difficult because it was like, if this requirement was in place when I was going through the process, I wouldn't have even accepted the job. And then I was well, maybe I can make it work for, as long as they'll let me. And then obviously today that kind of all blew up. So
that's right. That's right.
Just trying to understand and also trying to make a clear decision, not obviously a little emotional, just, the suddenness of it. Coming on today, but also understanding I have kind of a month-long runway to figure out what I need to do, but just kind of wanted to get an outside opinion on kind of the best way to
How old are you, man?
about it. So, I'm 26.
26. All right. So is this your first or second, third big job?
This is my second job. I actually just left at the end of the year, my first job out of college for this position.
Okay. So the vaccine it's a lightning rod. Okay, and you are wise beyond your years to say, I want to exhale a little bit and get some perspective. But here's what I want to tell you: for the rest of your life, jobs you take you're gonna start a job on Monday and you're gonna get reorged on Tuesday. I started this job with no radio experience and an 18-month plan to learn how this thing works, and then COVID kicked off, and Dave said, "Well, congratulations, you're on the radio." Right? We had to figure this out live, and I've made a train wreck of a few things, and so. Then there's a reorg, then there's a this, and then, hey, we're not going to be able to do retirement funding matching this year because it's always going to be a thing. And so, and this is with all of your relationships, all of your life, there's always going to be a thing. I'm living in a house, and then the county raises my taxes. I live in a country, and now they require, whatever the thing is, make the decision you're going to make, and then be at peace with it and go on about your day. Don't choose to stew and spin and be angry and talk about it and call everybody and Facebook about it. That's just choosing misery. And that misery has a physical toll on your heart, on your brain, on your body. Don't do it. Just say, I'm in or I'm out, and then I'm going to go on about it. And you're making grown-up decisions for whatever reason. Great, man. I'm proud of you. Do you have somebody in your life that you trust that you can sit down and talk to?
Yeah, I mean, I'm married and we're in a good church too. So
I reach out to a man that you trust. Not to say your wife is going to be Team Caleb, or maybe she's going to be absolutely opposite Team Caleb if you're in my house. But find a man in your church that's 10 years down the road, that's 35, 40, and say, hey, can I take you out for coffee? Here's what I'm wrestling with. I just started this job. Here's what I'm thinking through. And let them speak some wisdom into you. And I'm not saying wisdom on what you should do, but it helps take the emotion out of this thing. We can look at this objectively. I do that when I get emotional about decisions, and I still do, right? I get somebody that I trust to help me walk through it. I make the decision, and I'm on about my day, man, just because I'm not going to choose to poison myself. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Caleb, I'm less emotional than John.
Definitely helpful.
Yeah.
So I'll walk you through a different scenario here. How much do you make right now?
With a bonus, I'm at 101.
Wow, way to go, man. 101 at 26 years old. You're crushing it. So tell me this. Here's how I look at it. If someone said, hey, if you get the booster, I'll give you $101,000 a year forever, I'd be like, okay, well, now it's a decision to consider. But if you say, hey, my principles, my values, tell me, no, it's not worth that, well, then we have to turn that down and go, okay, I got to go find to work somewhere else that will hopefully pay me that much or more that will allow me to still have these values and beliefs. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So what's your line of work?
I'm an accountant.
Okay, cool. So in accountant world, you can find another accounting job in Indianapolis, right, that may have less strict policies.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing, your values may say, I can't be in Indianapolis anymore. Your values may say, I can't be in this community. Like what, you see what I'm saying? So it's where these values go, and they're your values. That's the beauty of them. And I'm going to pick them. I'm going to hold them firm, and then I'm going to go about my life, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, if the matrix is, there's not a lot I wouldn't do for $101,000.
I just try to take the emotions out of it for a second and go, okay, let's look at logic on paper versus just the emotions. I think both are important.
The other side is, I won't work for a company who chooses to insert themselves into my life at this level. I don't want that sort of control, right? Great, man.
Mm-hmm.
And then be at peace with it.
Yep. Yeah, and that's what I've been struggling with. It's like, if you can't trust me to make like a medical decision for myself, how can you even trust me to like do my job correctly? And I think that's really like what I've been wrestling with.
So hey,
on the flip side of it.
So here's what I want to really caution you against. Okay, I'm glad you mentioned this. It's an old psychological principle called the fundamental attribution error. Okay, it's when you get inside somebody else's head and try to decide for them why they just did what they did. And then you respond to your perception of why they did what they just did, and you get mad about it or angry about it or happy about it or whatever. So what I'll tell you is, get out of people's heads. Whether it's your wife, whether it's your workplace, just look at the policy on the paper. They're asking me to do this. This violates my values. I got a month. Cool. I'm out. Have a great week. Here's a micro version of this. You walk in from a hard day of accounting, and your wife left her shoes by the door again, and you trip over them. And you can think, she just did that to make me... Dude, you could get in her head and think that, or you could say, man, my wife's probably really exhausted, and something must be going on. I'm going to pick these things up, and I'm going to do the dishes too, right? So you get to pick how you respond here. I'd say get out of your company's head. They don't trust me to... Nope, they had nothing to do with you. They made a policy. Just say, am I going to follow this policy or not? And then I'm going about my day.
One of those choices is filled with anxiety, and one is just freedom.
This is life. What am I going to do next? That's right.
Yeah. Well, good luck with the decision, Caleb, no matter what you end up with. But you're crushing it, man. 26, 100K, not so bad. I'll take that.
So you probably never heard the story, but I actually was the guy who had almost been on Oprah more than anybody. Oprah called like 5-6 times, their producers did, and would tease us like we could get on. I'd been on every other show back in the day. You know, I'd been on 60 Minutes. I had been on Larry King. Remember when Larry King was on the air? And Sally Jesse Raphael. You remember her with the red glasses, you know, all that. I had been on all these different shows, you know, everything out there, except I couldn't get on Oprah, and they would call and tease us. So finally they call, and we get our Oprah appearance, and it was 3 different families on Oprah, and I was supposed to advise them in their trouble on Oprah. And the very first family, of course, I knew what I was getting into, and the families knew what they were getting into, sort of. And the very first couple, I'm sitting up there, I get in an argument with Oprah. Why would I do that? Because Oprah was wrong. That's what happened. So here was the deal. The wife had run up like $70,000 worth of debt, and her husband had no idea. And I had told the producers, I said, well, it's partially his fault because he's not involved in his wife's life enough. He's not loving his wife enough to even know what's going on in her life enough that she can run up $78,000. Unless she's just like a psychopath in her level of deception, this guy he doesn't know what's going on under his own roof. He's freaking clueless in his relationship. And so Oprah's reading the script, and she's like, and Dave, you say that it's partially his fault, and he owes her an apology. I don't think I agree with that. And I said, well, you would be wrong. He does owe her an apology because he hasn't been walking with his wife to the point she runs up $78,000 worth of debt, and he doesn't even know what the flip's going on under his own roof. And she's like, well, he delegated it to her. I said, Oprah, this is not a business. You don't delegate stuff to your spouse and just dump it on them. And even if you delegated it in business, you would always inspect what you expect. You would never just walk away and hope it happened. You would know what's going on in business. And besides that, this is a marriage. It's not a joint venture. God did not say, and now you are a joint venture. He said, and now you are one. And these two are not one. They're not on the same page. And so, you know, the poor lady's sitting there crying because she's so ashamed and overwhelmed. And the guy's angry because he's finding out he got $80,000 in debt that he didn't know he had. And, oh, man, it looked like a Jerry Springer episode or something. And, you know, and I'm making him apologize to her for not being a good husband. Because if your wife can run up, your husband can run up $100,000 in debt and you have no idea what's going on, you have chosen to not be involved in your own spouse's life. Or they're a psychopathic liar. One of the two. But most of the time it's you just dump it on them. And then you gripe because they didn't do it right. After you dumped it on them and walked away and closed your eyes and went, well, I thought they were handling it. Well, yeah, you thought, but you didn't even care enough to get involved and know what was going on. And so Oprah's all upset with Dave because Oprah was wrong. Didn't work out well the rest of the show, but we got through it. So here's the rule of thumb then. We see couples who have a good marriage, have been married 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, sit down and start doing a basic budget together where every dollar has an assignment, every dollar has a mission, every dollar has a name before the month begins, on paper, on purpose. Every month before the month begins, a unique budget. It takes about 10 minutes once you've been doing it a while. But it takes about...
Watching. If you enjoyed this video, click the subscribe button to get the latest content and check out these other great clips from the show.
Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
Jesse is now joining us in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Jesse, how can we help?
Yes. So in the last 2 years, I've gained over $100,000 in equity on a property that I bought back in 2021. And I kind of face an issue that a lot of people who bought a house back then, we got a really low interest rate. I got around 3%. And I don't necessarily ever want to sell this property, but I do want to take this equity and buy another property. But I really don't know how to go about it. And I'm also co-signed with my parent on this property.
Oh.
So yeah, so it was a situation where I knew where the market was going, and I know where the market's going to go in the next couple of years. So
You do?
Whoa.
Can we ask you a couple of questions? How is it that you've got your crystal ball?
I think that my dad was right about 2007, and he kind of taught me a lot about how the markets are working. And unfortunately, the only way the market's going to fix right now is the baby boomer generation has to get out of their homes.
Okay, that's one theory.
What do you mean? They have to get out of their home by dying?
No, sell.
Yeah, or they need facilities. But again, I'm a healthcare worker, and the biggest issue in America is these people don't have anywhere to go beyond their homes.
But you said they need to get out of their homes.
Yeah, meaning either whether they go into a long-term care facility or whether they pass away. And that is kind of like the big issue is a lot of Americans are still like in that boomer generation that take up a lot of the homes. I would say majority of my generation, which I'm in my 20s, I'm 27.
They're not taking up a lot of homes, brother. They bought them.
They own them.
It's their house.
No, they own them. But
your generation can build some new ones. That'd be cool.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying. That's actually like my question is what I'm trying to do, because the problem is it's so expensive to build houses, and I've looked at like properties and like the value of property now compared to what it was back then, and it's costing a lot more money now to build a house than ever.
So what's your specific question?
So my specific question is, I am trying to I want to get a HELOC.
Don't do what you're about to do. You're not going to listen to us, and so I know that. But I'm just telling you, if you and I were having a drink and you were one of my best friends, I would say, do not do what you're about to do. Period.
Do you think it's a bad time to do a HELOC? Or
I think it's never a good idea to put your house on the block, to put land or a home on the block. I don't give 7 craps what the interest rate is. I don't care how much equity you have in it. You're betting into an unknown future. And by the way, I was you 15 years ago. And I have to say these words out loud on a regular basis to remind myself, I was wrong. I thought I was smarter than I actually was, and I thought I'd figured all this stuff out. I didn't know anything about black swan events. I didn't know anything about pricing and supply and demand. I watched a lot of TV and read a lot of internet.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so I thought I knew all these stuff, so I started making these things, and I'm going to make this move and move that over that move. And here's what I did. I dug a hole that it took me and my family a long time to get out of. And so what I'm telling you is the smartest move moving forward is to be really grateful that you got a good rate, really grateful that your house is appreciated. I think it's a terrible idea to co-sign with your parents because they're still have some sort of oversight with you. No, we're partners. You're not. They're mom and dad, right? And I would sit until I've got cash to buy my next place. But you're going to get in the equity game where you're getting a little bit of equity and then pulling it out so you can put a down payment on this place and get a little equity there so you can pull a down payment on that. And it's going to be fine until you turn out like Dave Ramsey and the whole thing comes down on your head. They call the note and you go bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
That's the end game. The only way this works out for you is if you watch a ton of Instagram reels.
Oh, I do.
That's it.
Yeah, because what that does is give you dopamine to make this decision.
That's it. You are playing a slot machine, and Vegas always wins.
Yeah. So, again, so you think it's better to just look into, maybe, selling the house down the line? Because, again, obviously I'm going to count my blessings and stay where I am and kind of wait for the market to kind of...
Why do you want to move?
Correct it. Well, because...
Hey, hold on. This correction, bro, I put an offer on a house yesterday, and I got outbid. All these people, it's going to correct. It's going to correct. There is a shortage. It's the lowest number of houses on the market. If you simply know supply and demand, there's very few Mickey Mantle rookie cards. That's why they're worth so much. They're going to have to build a whole bunch of houses. They're going to have to increase supply. Okay? You're just playing with basic economics. And bro, I want it to reset. I want all housing prices to cut in half so I can get a nicer house for me and my family. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And so if you like your house, live in your house. If you want to move from your house and you have the money, sell your home and then buy something that you can buy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No, that makes perfect sense. The thing is for me, I look at trying to get into more assets, and I understand yes, I don't want to rush out of this house, but I'm trying to use this current asset as a rental property and then buy a second property. Basically take my equity to buy a long-term home and use my current property as a rental property because of my area and what I've studied the economics of what's going on in my area right now.
But again, you just listened to everything. Well, you heard everything John said, and then you came back with the same formula. So,
yeah, do what you're going to do, brother.
Yeah,
we still love you.
Yeah,
still love you.
We've made our position clear.
Yeah.
I mean, you've watched a lot of Instagram reels about this. That's why you laughed. I mean, you literally hit him right between the eyes there. He laughed because he's like, yeah, and you should probably keep watching those.
Well, it's going to...
No, I'm just saying, we told you what we would do, which is not this. He's bought into, and he does see the future.
He does see the future.
I feel like that's the X factor.
It breaks my heart because I was him.
I know. But again, this gets back to what you studied.
Yeah.
There is reason, and then there's emotion,
right?
And the way those two things interact with each other sometimes, it's a very interesting mix.
And there is a constant. If you get on the wrong algorithm, there's a constant stream of people telling you you're behind, you're missing out. You're behind, you're missing out. You got to go, you got to, and you just end up going, okay, I got to do this. I got to take this asset and move it over to there and move it. Here's the thing, my house right now, if I go get a quote unquote appraisal, they're going to give me a number that they think the house is worth. You know what that is? It's a guess.
It's an absolute guess.
It's a guess. It's not money. It's not cash. It's not an asset. It is an estimation. And at the end of the day, what somebody actually pays me, hands me money for, and I shake hands with them and hand them the keys, that's what that house is worth. And so I'm not going to make any moves on estimations, on guesses, on approximations. I'm not going to borrow against it. I'm not going to put my house on the market for it. That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, and to follow that up, let's just look at the numbers. So he's going, well, I want to use this house as a rental, and then blah, blah, blah. Okay, run the numbers. Run the numbers. What are you going to make? What are you going to make on the actual rent itself? So you have a mortgage payment that you owe the bank, and you're going to charge the renters plus. So whatever there is. So just run the numbers. You make it $1,000 a month. That's not happening very often. $500 a month. Let's just say $500 a month. That's $6,000 a year. But that's before there's any kind of, I got to fix the gutters. I got to fix the HVAC because as the landlord,
The lawn care.
There's all this
My
risk.
tenants flushed whatever down the toilet.
Yeah, there's risk associated with this. For what? How much money are you actually clearing?
Right.
Well, I've got the asset. Then sell it. Then flip.
Right. Or if it's an actual cash asset and you're going to sit on it for the next 15 or 20 years, knock your lights out.
Well, that's different.
Do that all day long.
That's right.
But that's yours. It's an actual tangible asset.
And there's a risk there.
Right.
We've eliminated the risk, or just about completely.
Because I own it. It's mine.
That's right.
Yeah.
I can flip it I can sell it at any time. So it's a game of, well, I think I can time it right. By the way, no disrespect to Jesse or anybody. I listen to, you know me. I'm like an old man. I listen to the news and read the news every day on business
you've got
news
friends
and
in high
market.
places.
Guess what? Nobody knows. Nobody knows what the real estate market's going to be 6 months from now. Nobody.
Everyone was waiting 2 months ago for the rates to drop. Last month for the rates to drop. They didn't.
Nobody knows what the stock market's going to do. It's just, so listen.
Live your life.
Here's what we do know. We know solid financial principles work. That's what we know. And everything else, well, it's how much risk are you willing to take on. So hang in there with us, folks. This has worked for over 3 decades.
Create your free every dollar budget today, the simplest way to budget for your life.